So now, a year ago, right now, you were still all in on golf, right? You were still making golf content.
A year ago, right now, yeah, I think so, yeah.
So, and Trevor, you can probably answer this too because you have a lot of golf in your background. What would you say are some things? Because obviously, there's a lot of similarities between disc golf and ball golf.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're both golf at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. But what are some differences that you think you've noticed on the tour, whether they're good, bad, whatever, that you think either we can learn from golf or you're happy like this is different from golf and I think that this is a good thing?
I think the biggest difference for me is the fact that there's no real stock shots. So in golf, you have 14 drives because most courses have 4 par 3s, typical courses. So on those par 3s, you're not going to be hitting driver. But on those other 14 holes, most of the time, you're hitting driver.
Like you need like a 10-yard fade or a 10-yard draw. And
you're just adjusting a little bit of the line. And each hole in golf, I'm trying to hit to my number. Mm-hmm. So I'm trying, like for me, I really liked like 92, 94 yards. That was like my bread and butter. So if the hole, let's say the hole was 400 yards, I'm trying to hit a drive that's just over 300 to get me to that 90. Where I think a lot of times in disc golf, you're just trying to throw it as far as you can because there isn't really a number where you're like, this is the perfect, like you would never want to lay up to where it's a perfect full power putter throw, right? Because that's like 300 feet. Right. If someone was able to lay up to 100 feet and you're laying up to your full power 300-foot shot, you're going to crush that guy every time.
Yeah, there's like this weird, well, in ball golf, there's like this weird number usually between like 80 and like 20 yards where like you don't even want to be stuck anywhere in the middle. You'd rather be at like 100 yards than 30 because you're better from there when you can take a full swing with the lob wedge than trying to hit some kind of chip. Like
so the most similar thing in disc golf would be like when you have a full power mid versus a light fairway. Like that distance where you're kind of up in the air.
Well, it really, I would say more so with, if you had a 40-yard shot, you're not able to hit it hard enough to generate the amount of spin for the ball to hit and have a reaction on the green. So it's almost more so like guys can hit 40, like I can sit there and hit a 40-yard shot and have it land between 38 and 42 yards consistently, but it's controlling that spin. So if I have a full shot, like a 92-yard shot for me was like a pretty full like 60 degree. So I could hit a pretty full 60 degree and know that I can fly it 10 feet, 15 feet past the pin, and it's going to have enough spin to hit and then come back.
Yeah.
So in disc golf, there's not really anything like that of where you're really worried about how the disc is going to react to the green. I guess the big thing is if you can throw a putter into a green versus a high-speed driver, you're going to have a better chance of like not having a flare skip.
Eliminating the skips and
there's some angle stuff too with disc golf with greens. Like if like there's a hillside, like I don't want to land on hyzer into this hillside because then it's going to have a better chance of rolling away and stuff like that. But it's
more like angle controlling.
Yeah, it's not quite the same. Like in disc golf, you're right. Like you always want to be closer. Always.
And I would say it's almost reversed. So in golf, going from course to course, you're not really hitting that many different shots off the tee and off the fairway going into a green.
Yeah.
But based on the course, you might be hitting a lot of different chip shots. And like some courses, you're going to play like the bump and run. Some courses, you're going to putt off the green.
Green speeds.
Where disc golf, around the greens, you're pretty much, every putt, no matter what course you're at, is pretty much the same.
Yeah.
But every single course you go to, like we played a couple different courses while you guys are down here, there's very few times where you're like, oh, I've thrown this shot.
Yeah.
Like this is the exact shot. Where in golf, it's like, this is a 7-iron. And then you go to some other course and you're like, this is a 7-iron. And it's like the same exact swing. And so I think that's where, does field work come into play? Is it important? Yes. But I think there's something to be said about getting a lot of practice on courses. Because there's very few times do you have just like the standard 330-foot straight buzz shot.
Yeah, you might be practicing in the field.
Where golf, it's like they're sitting there and they're working on their flight and all that stuff for very stock shots because they know when they go and play this course, they're gonna have 6 pitching wedges. So they really want to get their pitching wedge dialed in. I would say that's probably the biggest difference between the two.
Yeah.
It's very unique. And that's why I think a lot of times you'll see like guys that have played courses multiple times have a massive advantage in disc golf. And in golf, it's not really there. You don't really see guys that are like, oh, this is his home course.
The only thing you're going to know more in ball golf is like people will know the greens.
Yeah.
But that's
Green speed and stuff.
Green speed and breaks and greens.
Breaks, know where to miss
but
and stuff.
Bottom line, like if you're hitting fairways, you're hitting fairways. It's not like, and there's not like lines. Like there's a reason the term local route exists in disc golf. Like that's not a thing really in ball golf.
No.
Like
no one's like, oh my gosh, I didn't know you could just blast it over that tree.
Occasionally it's like, oh, you can cut a corner. Like I didn't know you could do that, but like it's pretty self-explanatory.
Pretty much all those guys are figuring that out.
Yeah.
In their practice.
And then you can just aim that direction, you know,
Correct.
and you kind of know your distance. So.
Yeah.
So I think one question that got brought up, I actually don't remember, someone brought it up to you, I believe, of when do you think disc golf, if ever, will overtake ball golf? Now, what the stipulations are on that, I don't know. Like, are we talking popularity? Are we talking player
money?
numbers?
I feel like popularity would be the question, would be what they're...
So, like, at what point do you think,
that,
if ever, do you think disc golf would become more popular than ball golf?
Never.
Yeah, I don't think it ever happened.
Like, never, ever, ever.
No.
Do you, okay, so then the secondary question is, do you
They're
think...
two similar sports.
But, so, they are more similar, but I feel like to an average viewer, I don't know if the answer is never. Because I feel like to the average viewer, watching a disc fly off the tee...
He's
getting free. Watching the disc fly off the tee is more intriguing to an average viewer than watching a ball off the tee.
Are you talking about in person?
No, even on like coverage, because like the disc moves a lot more. There's more to watch. It's more visually appealing.
I don't think you really get to see the disc move on coverage.
How so?
Like if there's a tunnel shot, right?
Well, then the disc isn't really moving.
Well, okay. Well, if there's like a flex shot,
okay,
a tunnel shot where you have to flex it through.
Yeah.
I think the way they have coverage now, and I don't know if they can change it, but the way they have coverage, at least if I've seen, is you see the initial first throw, and it goes, and then once it gets to a certain point, it cuts to the catch cam, and then it finishes.
Right.
You don't really get when you go from different perspectives like that. I think it's really hard to really see
That's true.
what happens.
What's happened.
I've noticed that as catch cams have become more popular, like it's definitely helpful, but it takes away. Like you like have to like reposition like, oh, that's where that disc is flying. Like that's how the angle it's coming in on. You like kind of lose track of it for a second.
So it's really good.
It's good for blind corners.
Yeah, I think catch cam's really good for you just knowing, okay, that's where the disc ended up, but it's I think it's a lot harder to figure out how it got there. Like what was needed to do to get there.
Right. The movement left to right and stuff.
Yeah, like the way I view. I just played this course, like Waco, the first hole in the woods where it's like a straight shot and then it kind of fades to the left. It's like an S. It's like a little S.
Okay, yeah.
That par 4. I think a lot of times they'll throw it and then as it goes to the catch cam, which is the blind corner, and then all of a sudden the disc comes around the corner and then skips. I feel like if you filmed it where it went and then the disc went out of frame and then as it goes out of frame, now you pick it up, it might be a little bit easier to grasp. But
then it might not seem as smooth visually taken.
Potentially. Yeah. But if the argument is in person, then I would disagree with you completely because there's nothing like seeing Rory McIlroy at 5'8" just rip into a ball and it just the sound.
That wasn't making the argument in person.
But the sound too is another thing. Disc golf doesn't have any sound.
I mean, they have snap.
It's nothing.
I know it's not the same.
Yeah, the sound of an iron being hit flush is unmatched.
Like some drivers.
It's similar to baseball. Like baseball is the most boring sport to watch on TV.
But all of a sudden you get that crack.
Yeah. But once you're there in person,
it's still boring. But
it's still boring, but it does add excitement. It does add excitement. You can't. Okay, but baseball in person is more exciting than on the TV.
Well, every sport is more exciting in person than on TV.
Yeah, I'm just saying. So I hate baseball both ways, but I can go to a baseball game and enjoy myself.
That's a good. I'd almost say I'd rather watch an NFL game in my house on a big screen TV.
But is it more entertaining or is it more comfortable? because it's more entertaining. If you have good seats, it's more entertaining.
I'd rather watch.
Here's the thing. I don't think I would ever be a season ticket holder.
Okay.
I don't mind. I think. Hold on.
And?
Let me get to the point. So I think you're right. I think like going to the game, like if I go to the Cowboys game or if I go to the Super Bowl or anything like that, and you're in the crowd and you have the atmosphere and stuff, like that's why I didn't say college football, because college football is 10,000 times better in person than watching it.
Yeah.
But the crowds are different. But I think I could enjoy it and like it, but I don't think the enjoyment is worth all the stuff that it takes to get there and do it. If that makes sense. I don't know if that's outside of the realm.
I'm just.
You gotta think about it. It takes forever to drive there. You gotta pay for parking.
I'm just saying, like, consuming it.
Yeah,
sitting
that's comfort. Like I'm
Like,
saying,
once
how you consume it.
I think it depends a lot about the people around you too, though.
That's true.
Because if you're sitting in a group, like if you go to a football game, this is not like a whatever. I'm just gonna say it. But if I go to a football game and they're like, hey, yeah, you have box seats. Like if it's like for a brand or something and it's like in a suite, it's so much worse than being actually in the crowd, because half the people in the suite that you're with aren't even paying attention.
They are watching the game. They're just there to hang out.
Yeah. And so you just feel like at that point you feel like you're watching it, but you're removed. Whereas if you're like
then you might as well be at home watching on TV.
Right? Yeah, because you're so far away, and heck, you're looking up at the TV most of the time to see what the heck you're doing. But I see what you're saying. Watching live disc golf is probably more interesting than watching it live on YouTube.
Yes.
And watching live golf is definitely more interesting. However, if you want a full golf experience, it's way better to watch on TV because you get to see everything happening.
A lot more shots.
Where if you're on the ground, it's very difficult to keep track unless you have your phone out and you're like watching it on your phone.
The thing about the whole like watching ball golf thing is boring, like more boring than disc golf, is like people that think ball golf is boring to watch on TV don't quite have perspective. Like if you
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying you're just taking a random guy off the street, you're showing him disc golf on Joe Mez, and you're showing him ball golf on NBC. Or whatever it's on.
Yeah.
Which one's he going to find more visually appealing? To me, it's disc golf because off the tee, the disc is doing more. There's more action.
That's fair.
There's more variance in what could happen to the disc midair. Whereas ball golf, when the guy hits it, you don't know until it lands. Oh, crap. That's in the bunker. Once you understand a sport, then you're like, oh, shoot, you see the amount of spin he put on that? When I watch golf, like, I don't pick up on that. I'm like, oh, man, that was a cool shot.
I see what you're saying. That's true. Like,
That's a good point.
If, like, you had somebody who had literally, like, no knowledge of either sport, never watched either, didn't even know that one was more popular than the other, and you put him in front of both, he's probably going to like watching disc golf.